Welcome to Reread. We're on Allies by Christy Golden. This is from the Fate of the Jedi series. And Vestari admits to her father about liking Ben. And her father goes, good, use that. Turn him to the dark side. And of course, that's what she's trying to do. Now, Ben is a hopeless romantic. He's trying to turn her to the light side, of course. And I like this story. I like the Ben Vestari connection. Now, I don't recall who said this, but I think someone told me that Troy Denning said, "Oh, they were never going to get together." But I don't think I mind that. Now, again, I'll have to remember how the story ended here because I don't remember how their relationship kind of ended. I think it ended kind of sour. But either way, she does feel for him, even though she doesn't see the benefits of the light side at this moment. And of course, Ben is a little bit more than gullible. Even though Luke knows that he won't fall to the dark side, but that Ben still thinks Luke says there's no way of saving Vestari because she's a Sith. But to be fair, and I think Ben says this later on, well, you saved your dad, my grandfather, and it makes anyone redeemable, but Luke doesn't feel that Vestari is redeemable. Anyway, my favorite Easter egg in the entire one of my favorite Easter eggs in the entire EU is in this book, and I remember it. Akmeda is in this, and that is from the Christmas holiday special, the only non-Wookiee that's ever mentioned in a book. Lumpy and Mala. Each new cook is even in one too, mentioned in it from the holiday special. It's just the Wookiees, but this one made a B author's character from it, and they said that she likes to sing. She goes off and does concerts or whatever singing, but then she still loves visiting the bar and working. And she's an intelligence agent, kind of like a spy. She's only in it for the last couple of pages in the last chapter, and then we never hear from her again. I love that Christy Golden put that in there. I don't remember who it was. I thought it was Troy Denning. And this is kind of weird for me because all of Christy Golden's stories, I assume I got them mixed up. I thought Troy Denning had wrote that story, but Christy Golden did an excellent job, way better than I recall here. Now, Dion, who's with Luke and Ben, he goes insane, just like the rest of the Jedi. Vestari and Ben have to stop him. Vestari stops him without killing him. And Ben goes, see, that's proof that she's, turning over a new leaf. And Luke goes, no, it's her still trying to fool you. It does nothing to kill Dion. That would just expose her as a Sith again. So I love the back and forth between Ben and Luke. That's really good, too. Now, Dala lays siege to the Jedi Temple with Mandalorians. It is a great scene where Connie, I believe is her name, comes out and Kenneth Hamner brings her, because that's the teacher's pet. That's his teacher's pet. They call her KP, Kenneth's pet. And they keep messing up and calling her that. But she's just a young Jedi girl and who just worships Kenneth. And so, she wants to do anything for him. So he goes, okay, yeah, go out and negotiate. You're a young Jedi, you don't have a lightsaber, you're as harmless as they come. So the Mandalorian, I forgot about this. The Mandalorian says, are you, because he's there to collect two crazy Jedi. He said, are you so-and-so? No. Are you Jedi so-and-so? She said, no. I am, Connie, I'm here on behalf of Master Kenneth to propose negotiations. He went, mm-hmm. And so he whoops out a blaster and shoots her square in the face. What? That's how the chapter ends. And it's so good. And again, I'd forgotten this was Christy Golden, but it's the scene that I love so much was Raynor always takes his lunch with Wynn at such and such a time. And even though there's a siege going on, Wynn knows that that's not going to stop Raynar Thor because he's kind of disconnected from reality right now. So Wynn rushes there, tells the Mandos ahead of time, do not fire on him. Do not fire on him. He's a confidant. I'm building a case with him, to be an informant. He's lying just to save Thul's life. And again, it's one of my favorite scenes in the entire series where Thul knows what's going on. He goes, when? He's got this, big smile because he has a bunch of scars. He said, I didn't think you'd be here today. He said, after today's events, little bad timing. He's like, yeah, I know. And so Thul looks down at the dead body of Connie and basically just kind of sits down somewhere in the vicinity and just breaks open a sandwich. And, you didn't bring your lunch. He went, I didn't have time to pack. He went, well, here, have some of mine. And the whole time, the man, as he's reaching into, I think, his robes to get the sandwich, Wynn steps in front of him to make sure the Mandos can't get a clear shot, just in case they think he's carrying a weapon. And it's a sandwich, and you break sandwich, and they start eating together. And Wynn is almost sweating because he knows This is a dire situation. He doesn't want Rhaenyra Thol to die. And then that's basically it. That's all they do. I love this scene. I absolutely love this scene. Of course, the Jedi Leia sees it and goes, I think Wynn's protecting him. You know, like, I think Wynn's not, maybe he's not the bad guy, you know, just because he's Dala's right-hand man doesn't mean he's such a bad guy. But it's such a powerful scene. This is really good, much better than I thought. Luke has C-3PO translate the Sith language. He hears Vestara talk to her dad in Sith language, and he doesn't understand it, but he says, 3PO will. 3PO is so excited to finally, you know, have a purpose. Instead of cooking meals, reading bedtime stories to Alana, finally he's here to solve a mystery. It's so great. It is so great as he's trying to, as he's pouring over this, and he's getting, because Alana realizes later on in the book that he's just getting agitated, but not with everyone. He's getting agitated with himself. And so she notices something's wrong with him. But, you know, Grandpa and Grandma don't. But then again, Grandpa never pays attention to 3PO either way. So he wouldn't know. Han didn't know he was acting, you know, kind of suspicious. But she realizes 3PO is getting mad at himself because he's trying to, you know, do these little, you know, he's trying to help Master Luke by translating this. And when he does and he gets a translation, it's really funny too, because it's kind of worded wrong. But it's a really good scene and a proper use of C-3PO and exactly what Luke would do. This is so good. This has the Fountain of Ancients in it. It gets violated as the Sith cut. They use the lightsaber, which no technology is allowed around the fountain. It's this big glass explosion that gets harder over time. And the Sith have this fascination with glass art, or the ancient Sith did. And so they want to see a piece of what type of material this is to get a sample. And of course, damaging the fountain breaks the treaty that's, you know, thousands, tens of thousands of years old between the Hutts and the Nikto and the Weequay and all them about being eternal slaves of the Hutts. And even though Jaina and Lando are, because something has happened to the fountain, law dictates that two counselors must come in, like two mediators must come in to make a decision. And because Lando and Jaina just happen to be there, they're both approved by both sides, by the Hutts and everyone. So the Hutts proved they were short on resources, and they just couldn't possibly cover the fountain in time, but they did their best, you know. And so what they do is they accuse the Sith and basically sentence the Sith to death. But then on the second ruling, they rule in the Hutts' favor and say, well, yeah, the Hutts did everything within their power, so they kept within the treaty. Even though the fountain got damaged, the Hutts did everything they could do to prevent it. So technically, you're still their slaves. Shocking when I first read that. But it makes, I get it now. It makes sense because they have to be fair, because Jaina's ready to just, you know, throw off slavery because she hates Hutts. But Lando is the voice of reason going, actually, Jaina, let's look at this to the letter. Let's not be biased, is what he's saying. Lando's great in this. He's very level-headed. Here's the guy. Yeah, you guys know I'm a big Lando fan. He's one of my favorites. But I like his level-headedness. And goes, no, because this is exactly what Lando would be saying. A wiser, older Lando would be saying. So the scene is really good. And of course, it leads to mass riots throughout the galaxy, which is going to impact later books too. And again, lead to a theory I have of where the story was going, the EU was going in general. Even though Troy Denning did not verify it, he said, that's an interesting theory. He said, but he had no idea where Christy Golden was going with it. Even though I know he mentions the slave revolts in his book too. But either way, I may mention that again in a separate video, but good stuff here all around. Luke finds out that it wasn't when he and the Sith track down and find Abeloth. He realizes that Abeloth was the person who was in he tells Mara, he sees Mara at the pool of, not the pool of knowledge, whatever it's called, the lake of remembrance or whatever. I can't remember the titles, but he says, I'm so glad you've been with me, honey, this whole time on the Jade Shadow. And she's like, Luke, that's not me. And then he realizes it was Abeloth this whole time, and he was fooled. Now, Luke actually tracks down Abeloth, and this is where he finds out the great reveal that Abeloth's body is Callista's. And it breaks my heart, because it breaks his too, because Callista was trying to find, you know, she was going on a soul-searching mission too, to try to reestablish a connection to the Force, and Abeloth basically tricked her and possessed her body. And now, you know, even though Abeloth thinks there's still part of Callista in her, and I really do think, I don't think she's trying to fool Luke. In the book, it says she was trying to fool Luke, but maybe there's a part of, you know, Callista still inside her that says, oh, Luke, now we can be together and everything. because Abeloth's a lonely creature, so it makes sense that she and Callista kind of bond like that. But Luke knows that Callista's done. He's so sad. He calls her Callie, my Callie. It was never a nickname in the Bantam novels, but okay, all right. But it is kind of nice. In fact, I always wanted to say, well, if there was a way to save her, if there was a way, maybe later on, because we know Abeloth will eventually get away. Maybe later on, Luke is able to free Callista of Abeloth, and then, well, he's a single man now. You know where this is going. I digress. Anyway, Luke kills Abeloth, thereby cutting off the connection she had to all these younger Jedi. Instantly, they go sane now. So the two Jedi held in captivity at the Jedi Temple are now sane. Everyone is, you think it's over. It's not, of course. Abeloth's not going to be dead, but they think he is. Nek Boatu, I don't know, I'm butchering that name, but the Bothan, who's the admiral of the Galactic Alliance army, who's also involved romantically with Dala. I'd forgotten about that, but that's nice. He gets attacked by two crazy Jedi. You're like, wait a minute, I thought Luke solved the problem. And then, and this is so funny, as Nek realizes they're fake. Why? Because it's been 3 minutes of him dodging them and running from them, and he's still alive. Which he knows if they were real Jedi, he would have been killed immediately. So it's people pretending to be Jedi to kill him. They slice off his arm, leave him dead in the street, and you think he's dead. Now, I know he's not dead because he comes back later on, but they make you think he's dead in this book. Because he's basically just lying out in the streets, bleeding out. He's lost an arm. He passes out into darkness. That's usually their key word for death there. And then later on, it ends with Tahiri, in court, and they play Pelion's recording of his death that he sent to Dala. And of course, no one knows how they got the recording. Of course, Dala sent it. Of course, Tahiri's like, wait a minute. He's sending this record. He knows he was recording. Who was he recording this for? It was Dala. And it's absolutely damning evidence that paints Tahiri in a very, very poor light. And that's basically how it ends. Wow, what a good story. I really like Allies. I really love Fate of the Jedi. And I got to admit, right now, I mean, Legacy of the Force is still good. But Fate of the Jedi, in my opinion, is kind of moving up. I don't know where I had this. I can't remember. I didn't look at my top 10, but I think I had this lower on the top 10. I don't know. This series may be number 3. I don't know. This book was so good that now I'm kind of interested to see how the other 4 books play out because I am really enjoying the Fate of the Jedi series. But what about the next book? Well, I'll talk about that, next time.